Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. This is Mark Bruce with episode 8 of the Performance Recap. Today, we're going to talk about squat variations and how not all squats are created equal. So, as you see, I have a list of different squat variations. These are not the only ones. There's different ways to squat with accommodating resistance, like resistance bands or chains. So, we'll include those in at the end. So when we talk about squats, squats are a great exercise for athletes. They're a great exercise for adults who are looking to, improve movement, lose weight, do all those, improve their overall health. However, not every squat is going to be right for this individual for you. So why do we squat? Well, first, squatting is a fundamental movement. It's something that you do every single day. I'm sitting in a chair, so when I went to sit in that chair, I had to squat. Now, when I go to stand up, I'm going to have to perform a squat. And what we see a lot from athletes, from adults, right? If you have a really, really tall athlete, a lot of chairs aren't made for them, so they're going to figure it out, right? They might have their knees go in, they might stagger their stance, they might always go up on their tippy toes, they may be so much on their heels, they may have to use their desk to get back up, or they have to shoot the hips back and use their low back, right? So if athletes especially do not learn how to squat, they're gonna do it anyways. So you might as well teach them how to load a squat appropriately so you can reduce any unnecessary injuries. So that's number one. It's a fundamental movement. We squat all day long. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to squat with 400 pounds on your back, but some form of a loaded squat is beneficial and should be necessary for everybody to reduce injuries, to teach the body how to accept force and produce force. So that's going to be that eccentric loading action. That's going to be the ability to contract and relax with load. That's going to be the ability to produce force, put force into the ground and do something while teaching your muscles, your quad, your glutes, your hamstrings, your hips, everything how to move synergistically. So that's why that squat is that closed chain exercise. It's going to help improve your muscular size. It's going to improve your muscular strength. It's going to improve tissue resiliency, tendon resiliency. So all these things are going to prevent injuries, help you feel great, help athletes perform at a high level on their court. So with that being said, what I see a lot with athletes is, they go into the weight room and boom, they do the same squat across the board. Now that can be good, that can be bad, but we have to take in a lot of factors. When you have an athlete coming into your weight room, when you have an adult coming into your weight room, at least what we do is we're going to sit down first and we're going to go through their experience. Number one, how old are you? What's your experience in the weight room? What have you done? Because you're going to get two ends of the spectrum. You're going to get someone who's never worked out before. So where do you start them? You may get someone who's got 20 years of training under their belt. So where do you start them? And then you may have a young kid who chronologically is young, but biologically he's more advanced. So just naturally, he could handle more or she could handle more load. And then you want to identify, have they ever touched weights before? Have they done a back squat? Have they done a front squat? Have they done a goblet squat? Have they done a 2 kettlebell front squat? Do they even know what a squat is? Because even if a kid has put a bar on their back and they know what a squat is, but physically they're underprepared, it doesn't mean that they get to squat in your gym. It doesn't mean that they should be squatting just because they have put a bar on their back. Because the question is where, have they been taught, do they have any injuries coming in? So that's the next one. What's their injury history? Do they have a bad ankle sprain years ago? Do they have chronic knee tendonitis? Do they have, back pain or hip pain? Something along those lines so we can piece the puzzle together and prescribe them with the best exercise today and build out that plan. And then next within that process, we want to know what are their goals? What are they trying to do? Are they just an adult looking to lose weight? Or are they a high school athlete who wants to improve their their rate of force development, jump higher? Do they need to get bigger? Do they need to get stronger? What's their pelvis orientation? What's their body structure? Because if I have a 5'8" guard versus a 6'10" forward, right, they're going to get two different squat variations. They may not be drastic, but they will. Do they have really tight ankles? Do they have that kyphotic look or that sway back posture? So these are all questions that are very important to have before you just put a workout out in front of someone and say go, because you really want to have all these pieces put together. So when we look at these squat variations, there's a good amount of them, right? So this essentially could be a 3-year plan for an athlete. This could be 6th to 7th grade, 7th to 8th grade, and then 9th to 10th grade, and even all the way to your senior year, depending on reps and set schemes. So one thing that I always ask parents, coaches, athletes is, if you have a 7th grader who just started in your school and has never taken Math 7 before, but they're like, you know what, I want to take pre-calc, would you put them in that class? The answer is probably no, because they don't have the experience. They don't have the understanding of the concept. That's a huge social jump. You don't know what kind of student they are. Do they even study? Are they innately smart? Some kids who are great at math don't even like to do the math problem on the paper. They just like to do it in their head. So anyone who works in a school system who teaches math knows that even if you get the right answer, by not showing your work, you're still not going to get full credit, so that can be detrimental to your grade. So the same thing goes with, your squats. If you have a kid that says, yeah, I go to the Y and I put a bar on my back and I squat, do you start them right at the advanced level because they've said it? If you have a parent who comes in and says, yeah, we squat all the time, but you notice some huge flaws, do you still start them in an intermediate, or do you have to improve their movement pattern first? So you have to dive into these things in that consultation, in that first step, so you prescribe appropriately. So if we look at the novice, so novice individuals to me could be really, really young athletes. So they could be that, 4th to 6th grade. We usually start our athletes at about 11 years old at Fit Strength, depending on the specialty group. So they could be, anywhere from 8 to 11, and that to me is a novice because they probably haven't had experience with lifting weights. Or you could have an adult who's never worked out before. Or you could have an adult who has worked out a lot, had a really, really bad back injury from squatting, and so you start them in novice to reteach that pattern, right? So novices can ebb and flow. It doesn't just have to be about the age. So when we look at our novice exercises, we have our plate reach squat, our goblet squat, and then our 2 kettlebell front squat. And we'll ebb and flow because if I have a 4th grader, they may cycle through these every 12 weeks, right? And this can just be a different constraint, right? They may do plate reach squat for 3 weeks at 8 to 12. Then they go to goblet squat for 8 reps for 4 weeks, and they might go to 2 kettlebell front squat for another 4 weeks, and then they may go back to goblet squat. So we could do a box squat with a goblet. They can do a heels elevated tempo goblet squat. Then we could do a offset kettlebell front squat. So we can recycle through these exercises to ensure that they're moving well, their body's adjusting, we're managing stress. But for the goblet squats, I like to see athletes hit like 50% of their weight for reps, or get up to like 65 pounds for 10, 12, 15 reps, because now if they can do 65-pound goblet squat with good technique, well, when we go to a bar, I know they can handle a 45-pound bar pretty successfully. So once we get to that intermediate level, at my gym or at Fit Strength Performance, that typically is that 6 to 12 month mark of training with us while checking off these boxes, and that's if the athlete's in middle school. If you're in 4th grade and you've been with us for 2 years, right, you're still over here. So that means that if you're in 7th grade and you start with us, well, 6 months, you may get through all of these exercises, and then we can go to potentially your zombie squat and your front squat. So the zombie squat is your arms out, bars on your shoulder. The front squat is in that front rack position, and we may even do crossover grip with that as well. And then we drop to a safety bar box squat and then a safety bar squat. And all of these are going to stress full range of motion. Seeing if the hips can internally rotate and externally rotate, seeing if the athletes can put the weight in their heels. And this will signify that they're loading their muscles appropriately. They're able to eccentrically load and handle forces, because in sport, same thing. And then for our adults, same idea, right? If they can successfully move well, well, they're going to linearly advance themselves so they can lose weight, get stronger, not get hurt, and just feel great about themselves. So when they do their things outside of the gym, they're not feeling overly tired. They're not feeling, their joints aren't achy and things like that. So this is usually our intermediate box. And the sets and reps, typically when we get to these heavier loads, we're staying between 5 and 6 reps of all of our exercises, hitting that 3 to 4, depending on the athlete, 5-second tempo, really working on control, technique, and depth. So this is our intermediate block. And then if you look at our advanced block, somewhat similar to the intermediate. In this environment, we're usually working with our 11th, 12th graders, and then our college athletes, and then our more seasoned adults that are at the gym. So we have our safety bar squat, back squat, Zercher squat, and then we'll do a lot more loaded split squat variations. Squat from pins, split squat from pins, rear foot elevated, safety bar squats, could be a ATG, front foot elevated split squat. So there's going to be more loaded movements because we know that we've primed their system, technique is okay, tendons are durable, and they feel confident with that bar loaded on their shoulders, because that's another big piece. In that advanced block, we could also do some accommodated resistant movements, chain squats, resistance band squats, reverse band squats. We have our overcoming isometrics. We have our Hatfield squats. So there's a lot more variations we'll do with our advanced. The set schemes can range from, anywhere from 3 to 5, really working on those exact joint angles in their sport, but then also, targeting specific traits, rate of force development, reactive strength, whether it's hypertrophy strength or max effort, absolute strength, right? So there's different things we can target with that advanced, but we got to check off these boxes, right? We have to spend some time doing the basics so our athletes aren't getting hurt. And a lot of athletes are going to see a lot of benefit by just improving the size of their muscle and the strength of their muscle. So we can do a lot of damage with this. Lastly, what I'll tell athletes, these are the numbers for females and males that I'll look for to really see some athletic success, and even adults to see, like, do we need to move on to another exercise, or this is what we could be trying to achieve to ensure that your body is moving well and your tendons and your joints can handle forces. So for athletes, females, I like to see 1.25 to 1.5 times body weight, because what that means is once we get to that number, so if you're an athlete, a male, 1.5 to 1.75 times body weight. If you're a female or male, and let's just call it even, you're 100 pounds, and you get to 150 pounds in your squat. All right, well, that tells me that you're handling your body mass well relative to your body weight. So maybe we can do some PAP training, but again, if you're an athlete that's 100 pounds, you might want to spend more time doing some hypertrophy work, just because more muscle is going to keep you safer. But that's just an even number, so for me, if I'm 200 pounds and I get to 300 pound on a squat, well, I'll do some speed-based squats. I'll do some, loaded jumps. I'll take the weight off the bar and go lighter, and then I'll work on speed. It really improve that rate of force development, because there is that continuum. You just don't keep getting stronger, and getting more athletic, right? So if you get too strong, you may see your athleticism going down. So that's that one number. For adults, if you get to 1 times your body weight, you're pretty good. That's a really good number if you're 35 plus and you're really just looking for a body composition improvement and just feeling better about yourself, and losing some weight. So usually 1 times your body weight will be good with that. So this is that different squat variations. This is this idea of not every squat is created equal, and I hope this just provides you with a little bit more tools in your toolbox as far as how you can prepare your athletes or adults, helping them get to a higher level, because this is exactly what we do at Fit Strength Performance. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time.